So all they do is they just, and I want you to notice, what was the years where they did this? 1907 panic, 2020 depression, 2029 Great Depression. Notice the end numbers. They're always like 10 years apart, almost exactly. Almost exactly. Between 7 and, the even number, you know what I mean? And what was it? I don't know about any other whatevers, but I do know that there was a recession in 2008. Wow. Another multiple. See how it's like, you know what I mean? Every decade they do this for 120 years or 10 years or whatever it's been, and you morons don't see it? This is what I'm talking about. They only have a few tricks. They just do them over and over and over and over again. And you all look like, I just don't get humans at all. They're so freaking idiotic. But that's what they do, though. Then when you contract the money supply, now they come and buy all your properties up for pennies, and they just flood the market with money again, and now all the properties go back to the regular value, and you just got screwed. And what are they doing? What's Trump doing right now? He's printing up a bunch of money, giving out a bunch of gifts for everybody. So, see, because if you grow the economy, it offsets. Growing the economy is the opposite of inflation. So if you grow your economy while you're printing up trillions of dollars, no one realizes that they're getting screwed. You know what I mean? In the long run, because in the short run, you don't see any inflation. You notice Biden and Trump both spent $8 trillion. But Biden's economy dumped down, gave us 9.3 inflation. Trump gave us 1.2 inflation. You're supposed to be at 1%. You can't get to zero because of how it's a debt-making machine. You can't get to zero. It's not possible. But you notice his economy, he grew the economy. See, that's what, he's going to trick us by growing the economy so we don't see the inflation. So no one thinks, oh, well, that's okay. But it wouldn't matter if this was like 100 years ago, but we are like 90%, you have an endpoint with fiat money, man. We are at the 90% mark, you know what I mean? And that 10% could have went for another couple hundred years. But if you jack up our spending like they're doing, that's so insane. They spent, these two presidents in 8 years spent more money on our national debt than the 45 presidents before them, the 240 years before them. They spent more on our national debt. They made our national debt double in 8 years. Yeah, they're going to screw us. And I hate that. That's what TDS is now. It's morons like you clapping and thanking. I mean, I'm glad that Trump was in there too. I would have voted. I still would vote for him. What was the alternative? Biden? But he is not our friend. Okay, he is screwing us, and we're clapping and thanking him. Thanking him. You know, it's kind of like a guy comes up and he's drowning you, right? You're getting drowned, right? So Trump comes up and he stops the guy from drowning you, so you live, and so you're praising him, thank you, thank you, thank you, and then Trump takes out a gun and shoots you in the head. Should you have thanked Trump? No. That's James Garfield.
It is important to clearly understand the Federal Reserve is a private corporation. It is about as Federal Express. It makes its own policies and is under little regulation by the U.S. government.
You should see these. I don't know if you can pull them up on YouTube, but over the decades, right, these people from the Federal Reserve Bank, our presidents have tried to whatever, our people have tried to, they just tell them, screw you, we don't have to listen to you. They've literally said on national TV many times, every decade or every couple years or 5 years, they get on national TV, says, I don't have to do anything. I don't care what the president says. I don't care what the government tells me. Screw you. They don't let them look at their books and stuff, and they have no accountability. Money is loaned out at interest.
That loans all the currency at interest to the government, completely consistent, with the central banking model that the country sought to escape from when it declared independence in the American Revolutionary War.
This is okay. It's like protective tariffs. They used to call import tariffs protective tariffs because they protect us. And now people chanting, no, don't protect us. We want low tariffs. We don't want protection. We want our country destroyed. Like all they had to do to trick you was change the name and say, low tariffs are called cheap products tariff. And then okay, just like BLM. Oh, it's called Black Lives Matters. It has nothing to do with Black Lives, but it has a good name. That's all you humans need is a good name. I want to know, because I swear to God, I would bet my life that this is true. If the KKK changed their name to We Love Black People, everyone in the country, including all the black people, would just throw money at them and clap. Thank you, we love you, We Love Black People organization. Yeah, that's what happened too. That is exactly what would happen, because you do it all the time.
Now, going back to 1913, the Federal Reserve Act was not the only bill pushed through Congress for the vested financial interests. They also pushed its partner, the federal income tax.
Yeah, before federal income tax, the high import tariffs, that's what funded the federal government, you morons. You didn't have to pay any federal taxes because we had high import tariffs, protective tariffs. But the thing about that is the elites in the federal government, they could only get import, they could only have enough money. They couldn't jack up the import tariffs, because if you jack them up any higher, they'd stop importing. You know what I mean? So how could they non-stop, repeatedly get more money every year? There's no way to do it doing it that way. So they gave us low import tariffs, right? So they can have overseas slaves. So our companies over here can't compete, because they can't. How do you compete with companies that use slaves? But if you have federal taxes, guess what? You could just raise the taxes up every year, like they do, right? Every year they could just have an unlimited way to tax. That's why we switched it over, and Yin's all begging, please give us low import tariffs. I love paying federal taxes so that they and so they can raise our taxes every year instead of never paying taxes and never having it raised. I would rather have that. Idiots! They get you to beg to get fucked over by them.
First of all, the federal income tax is completely unconstitutional, as it is a direct, unapportioned tax, and the required number of states needed in order to ratify the amendment to allow the income tax was never legally met, and this has even been cited in modern court cases.
If you go back and try to find and review the ratification of the 16th Amendment, if you went back and examined that carefully, you would find that a significant number of states never ratified that amendment. This is U.S. District Court Judge James C. Fox, 2003.
Second, at the present day, roughly 25% of the average worker's income is taken from them via this tax. That means you work 3 months out of the year to fulfill this tax obligation. And where does that money go? According to the Grace Commission report of the 1980s.
Keep in mind, that doesn't include property tax, state tax, city tax, school tax, property tax, gas tax. Yes, there's a tax on gas. It's incorporated into the price that you don't know that, but it's there. Same with cigarettes and a bunch of other items that have taxes that you don't even know about. Then you got sales tax. The taxes go on and on and on.
100% of what is collected is absorbed solely by interest on the federal debt and by federal government contributions to transfer payments. In other words, all individual income tax revenues are gone before 1 nickel is spent on the services which taxpayers expect from their government.
And that's the Grace Commission, 1982.
Today, the money Americans make working 3 months out of the year goes almost entirely to the interest fees charged for the debt-based fiat currency. The fact is, the federal income tax exists to feed the Federal Reserve federal government money machine, making sure the interest payments are always there. And third, even with the government claim as to the legality of the income tax, there is still evidently no statute, no law in existence that requires you to pay this tax.
I really expected that, of course, there's a law that you can point to in the law book, the code, that requires you to file a tax return. Of course there is. I was at that point where I couldn't find the statute that clearly made a person liable.
Joe Turner, former IRS agent.
At least not me, and most people I know. And I had no choice in my mind except to resign.
Based on the research that I did.
Sherry Jackson, former IRS agent.
Throughout the year 2000, and that I'm still doing. I have not found that law. I've asked Congress, we've asked a lot of people in the IRS commissioners, helpers. They can't answer, because if they answer, the American people are going to know that this whole thing is a fraud.
I haven't filed an federal income tax return since I left.
I have not filed a tax return since 1999.
Now, the control of the economy and the manipulation of society for the vested financial powers is only a part of the game being played. Another level is the business of war. Since the inception of the Federal Reserve in 1913, a number of large and small wars have commenced. The three most pronounced might be World War I, World War II, and Vietnam. World War I. In 1914, European wars broke out centered around England and Germany. The American...
Keep in mind, this is 1 year after, or less than a year after, they made the Federal Reserve Bank.
The public wanted nothing to do with the war. In turn, President Woodrow Wilson publicly declared neutrality. However, under the surface, evidence now shows that the financial powers behind the administration were looking for any excuse it could to enter it. It is important to understand that one of the most lucrative things that can happen for the bankers is war, for it forces the country to borrow even more money at interest, not to mention the profits generated through the financing of military production.
And the people who own the banks, right? They're the people who own these munitions places and these, they build tanks and war stuff, and they're the ones who own the mega construction companies to go in after the war. Do you ever wonder why, if someone attacks us and we're in a war, why do we go in and fix their country back up? It makes no sense, but it does if you know that they're going to get money from the government, so more printed up money, paid to these same people that own these mega construction companies.
In the words of two-time Congressional Medal of Honor winner Smedley D. Butler, war is a racket. It always has been. It is possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It is the only one international in scope, and it is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars, and the losses in lives. Woodrow Wilson's top advisor and mentor was Colonel Edward House, a man found to have intimate connections with the financial interests of the time. In a conversation with Colonel House, Wilson's advisor, and Sir Edward Grey, the Foreign Secretary of England, regarding America and the war, Grey inquired, "What will America do if Germans sink an ocean liner with American passengers on board?" House responded, "I believe that a flame of indignation would sweep the United States, and that by itself would be sufficient to carry us into war." So, on May 7, 1915, a ship called the Lusitania was sent where German military vessels were known to be. And, as likely expected, German U-boats torpedoed the ship, exploding stored munitions, killing 1,200 people. To further understand the obvious anticipation of this setup, the German embassy actually put advertisements in the New York Times telling people that if they boarded the Lusitania, they did so at their own risk, as such a ship sailing from America to England through the war zone would be liable to destruction.
Every country in the world except the United States had papers out, radio things out saying, do not go into the war zone where the war zone is at, where all the warships are that are all killing everyone. Please do not go enter that area. Even the Germans themselves had told, don't do that, you idiot.
In turn, and as anticipated, the sinking of the Lusitania caused a wave of anger among the American population, and America entered the war a short time after. Major General Smedley D. Butler summarizes the monetary reality of World War I.